So we just went through the history that's in the, what is this called? The lobby.
The lobby.
And what do we think about the history?
Of course, it's going to be biased towards everything that's happened being positive.
Yeah.
They leave out a lot of the fact that there was a cult, but
Yeah.
they highlight that it's all for science.
They've talked a lot
discovery.
about, like making, it says where science lives over there. So they talk about that, talk about construction, the like architecture and stuff.
But is it where science really lives?
Don't know. We'll see in a little bit. But also, they talk about the Biosphereans just a little bit, call it like a closed experiment. And they said that they learned a lot from it, which is a positive thing. Didn't talk about any of the negative things, none of the scandals or anything like that. And they talked a little bit about the different types of biocenter ecosystems
There we go.
in here. So it's very scientific, very praises the biosphere a lot, and I guess that's it. It's the Biosphere guys walking upon the Science Dome.
Science, 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 science.
We're doing an environmental retreat and dealing with Jewish themes related to the environment, ecology, and our responsibility. And the first statement about it in the Torah is that we are, first of all, created in the image of God, and second of all, that we have a responsibility to tend and preserve the earth. And so that's part of the message, but it's complicated because we're also supposed to work it, to use it, so it's a balancing act always. And so the Biosphere 2 is really a fascinating model for how that can be done in a constructive way.
So there's an ethical relationship.
There's a strong ethical relationship here. There's a great Hasidic story. Two guys are fighting over a piece of land. They go to the rabbi to decide it. He says, "I don't know. I can't really tell. I'm gonna listen to the ground." And they look at him like he's crazy. And he puts his ear to the ground. He says, "The land says it doesn't belong to either of you. You belong to the land, and it all belongs to God."
As a study abroad kind of thing. That didn't work out. I know it never got more than about 120, 130, and so the economic model didn't really work that well. And that was one of the reasons why Columbia University didn't last here very long. So that's one thing. Back over there, the big domes, the white domes you see over here, that was the control center. That was where Margaret Augustine, John Allen, and so forth, they had their offices there. They had a control room which mimicked the control room from the people inside. So they actually had all the computers knowing exactly the same thing that went on in there, in that control room as.
It's humid. It's very humid now, and it smells like trees. A lot of trees. Here's the ocean, the coral reef. I think. Oh, it's raining a little bit. It smells kind of like humid, like my grandma's cantina. You fine? Yeah, musty. Like a wet room that's been closed for a long time.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
No worries.
Is that sound that ventilation system?
Nope.
It's the waves. There's a mechanical
So guys, come
system
over here.
creating waves in order for the ocean life to survive. That's what that noise is. Technology, technosphere.
What the universities have done after the Biosphereans left is actually trying to retool Biosphere 2 for their experiments and thinking and bringing in people and talking to them, what are the best things that we can do? What can we really do in the outside world? And where do we need a smaller, more controlled environment to look at how can we understand better our planet? That's what we're doing here.
All right, guys. We're about to enter the rainforest.
It smells different, I guess like the climate, air quotes, and this ecosystem is definitely different. It's humid, but it's a different type of humidity. It also smells like really strongly like grass.
Here we are in the rainforest. It's very dense with life. It's beautiful. Many trees, they look like they're tagged maybe for research, these trees. There's vines, like Tarzan might swing on. Many different species. It's raining here a little bit too. There are no animals in here, which makes me question whether or not the science is really legit. Because in the real world, in Biosphere 1, there's animals. I feel like they have a definite impact and are impacted by climate change and the things that they're studying here. So I feel like they're losing an important aspect. Well, they don't have any prey or predator life cycle. Like who eats the snails? Snails are going to overpopulate like the ants. The French eat the snails, yeah. So I don't know. We'll have to interview Yost about that later. Well, do you think you lose any like quality information that you could gain by not having animals? Because like you can recreate conditions in here that you might have out in the world, but like there's animals in the actual rainforest that like affect the plants and affect all that kind of stuff, and they're affected by like things like climate change and stuff. So do you think you lose a lot of like valuable information by not having animals in here?
Of course, there is. We are, and that's the limitation of doing this, right? So we don't have that herbivory effect. We don't have the seed spreading that normally animals do. Actually, there's several studies out that actually the large mammals like elephants and so forth, they are the ones that spread nutrients over from more nutrient-rich areas to nutrient-poor areas, because they actually have a relatively slow digestion system that they can travel a relatively large distance, and then they poop, and then they drop those nutrients around in different places. So they actually are, like the large mammals are a nutrient distribution system that we don't have in here. But those are just the limitations that you have in the system. So you actually don't build that in, for instance, to your model that you use to make predictions for the real world. Every model, every sort of midway system, you have to cut out certain things. There's just not.
Exhibit was probably created by the UV because it really talks about like the environment. Yeah, it doesn't really talk about any kind of space travel.
It's not about Biosphere 2 specifically either, it's just like
No, it's just nature in general. Small exhibit on the Biospherians and their notes. Pretty cool. Some history of the closed experiments, but it looks like it's in a good light. No like talk about the failures or anything. The space room. Still no mention of John Allen. and his quest to move the biosphere to different planets. So there's that.
It's me and Gabby.
We're here where the Biosphereans live for 2 years
We're here.
in a human habitat.
What rhymes with here?
Near.
Near. We're here. We're near. Get used to it.
Have
Just
no
kidding.
fear.
Have no fear. We're here to educate you. Just kidding.
Alright.
Oh, look, little children. Okay.
So this is where the Biosphereans live. Their kitchen. Where they cook their food. Look, there's a plant growing in the kitchen.
So organic. So the little. Oh, what the heck is this?
What is that?
Is this a panini press?
No, is it to make bread?
Maybe. Oh, ooh, I'm not even gonna touch that. All
What
right.
is this? A coffee roaster? Old school toaster? What is this? This is the most intense pot I've ever seen. And this, I don't know what that is.
So apparently the Biosphereans are given like top notch of everything to minimize the amount of time it would take to do any like normal mundane process. So that's very interesting.
Well, is it entertainment?
But
But you should
So
ask him. what his
I'm hanging out
Yeah.
in a typical like apartment for the Biosphereans. So each Biospherean got an apartment with 2 stories, which was really important because I imagine being with 8 people 24/7 2 years would get really annoying. So here it is. Further down. Oh. How much did it cost to build? Oh, we need to do QR codes. That's not happening.
I'm Franklin Lane. I do K-12 outreach and support research here at Biosphere 2. I keep asking all the way up to the dean, to Dean Ruiz, to tell me what the Biosphere is. And they will all say, we are a schoolhouse, we're educators, we're a research facility, and we're an entertainment tourist. And in my mind, I keep asking right up to the dean, well, what's the priority? Stack them for me. And everybody I ask just says, oh, we do all 3. And they won't delineate. What's the first priority, the second, and the third? Because I like that, because if you've got limited resources and you come to a crossroads and you can only spend limited resources somewhere, then what's the priority? Is it research, is it outreach, or is it entertainment? And we haven't decided that, or we're reluctant to decide what that is.
My name is Sean Pipes. I am the founder of the Finn Foundation. We're a nonprofit organization going around to schools across the Southwest, taking marine mammal, marine organism artifacts, and teaching people about conservation and awareness for the ocean, as well as the science behind it all. We've been actually associated with the Biosphere 2 for quite a while, utilizing their ocean to try and help promote ocean conservation and awareness. It's a very unique setup here with their ocean simulating a working body of water like the Sea of Cortez eventually. Hopefully they'll be emulating that. It's a great way for people who may not have access to a body of water like an ocean to get a connection to it and to see how it works on a daily basis. For me, that's the biggest part of the Biosphere 2, is that particular biome, the ocean biome that allows people to see a life cycle, to see the water cycle, to see algae grow, to see fish grooming the algae, to see all those interactions. And being in a desert, a lot of people, I think, don't have that connection. And when you think of a planet being covered 75% or so with ocean water, we need to have that connection.
Definitely. So would you say maybe it's like a tool or a resource for like education as well as like learning, like discovery and stuff like that, science?
The number of times that we've had groups of students from schools coming here, just seeing the stuff that we set up on display tables, they're getting to see stuff and their mind is open. They're coming here. This is a huge tool for getting people access to things that they wouldn't have.